The next morning, Yuna woke up to find 17 messages on her communication device. Most of them were from humans she had never met. Some were from aliens of other species. All of them were asking about the same thing. Is it true you performed a Valari sacred ritual? I heard you taught the High Elder something new. What happened? Can I watch you heat food sometime? Yuna rubbed her eyes and groaned. Word had spread faster than she expected. She got dressed and walked to the common area for breakfast. The moment she entered, every head turned to look at her. Humans, Valari, and others all stopped what they were doing to stare. Yuna walked to the food printer, very aware of all the eyes on her back. She ordered a simple breakfast, some bread, some fruit, and coffee. Nothing that needed heating. Tay was sitting at their usual table. He waved her over. You are famous now, he said as she sat down. I noticed. Yuna bit into an apple. This is ridiculous. I just heated soup. To them, you did much more than that. Tay leaned closer. I talked to some of the Valari crew members last night. They said the elders had a meeting that lasted for hours. They are actually reconsidering some of their traditions because of what you said. Yuna felt a knot form in her stomach. I did not mean to do that. I do not want to change their culture. You did not change anything. You just gave them a new perspective. Tay smiled. That is a good thing. Cultures grow and evolve. It is natural. Before Yuna could respond, she heard small feet running on the metal floor. She turned to see Lyko, Tavi, and Oru racing toward her table. Their fur was messy, and their eyes were bright with excitement. Yuna! Or shouted. We found you! The 3 cubs skidded to a stop in front of her. They were all talking at once. Everyone is talking about you. The elders said you are wise. Some people are calling you the Wormbringer. Yuna held up her hands. Slow down, slow down. One at a time. Lyko took a breath. Last night, the elders sent a message to all Valari on the ship. They said that your words made them think about the warming in a new way. They said that sacredness comes from love and intention, not just from the act itself. And they mentioned you by name. Tavi added. They called you Human Yuna, teacher of new truths. Yuna felt her face get hot. That is too much. I did not teach anything. I just talked about my mother's soup. That is exactly it, Lyko said seriously. You talked about love, about family, about meaning. These are things Valari care about very much. You reminded us of what really matters. Aru climbed onto the bench next to Yuna. Also, can you heat more food today? Some of the other cubs want to see it. Yuna laughed despite herself. There are more cubs on the ship? The educational tour has 12 cubs total, Tavi explained. We are just the ones who found you first. The others are very jealous. They want to meet the Wormbringer, Oru said proudly. And we get to introduce them because we saw it first. Yuna looked at Tay. He was trying not to laugh. Fine, Yuna said. If it will make them happy, I can heat some food later. But I want everyone to understand that this is normal for humans. It is not magic. We know, Lyko said. That is what makes it special. For us, the warming is hard and rare. For you, it is easy and common. But easy does not mean less meaningful. Breathing is easy, but it is the most important thing we do. Yuna had no response to that. The cub was too wise for his age. Over the next 2 days, Yuna became something of a celebrity. Valari crew members would nod respectfully when they passed her in the halls. Other humans asked her to tell the story over and over. Even the captain of the ship, a serious Valari named Elder Morn, came to speak with her. You have done something rare, Captain Morn told her. You have bridged a gap between our peoples. Not through force or politics, but through simple honesty. I thank you. Una did not know what to say except, "You are welcome." On the last day before the cubs left the ship, Una organized a special event. She went to her personal food storage and took out several containers of her mother's cooking. There was more kimchi jjigae, some rice, and a container of seasoned vegetables. She set everything up in the common area. 12 Velari cubs gathered around her, their eyes wide with anticipation. The 3 original cubs, Lyko, Tavi, and Oru, stood at the front, looking proud. Elder Koru and High Elder Sima were there too, watching from the side. "Today," Una said, "I will show you how humans prepare a meal. This food was made by my mother on Earth. She put love into every bite. Now I will warm it so we can share it together." She placed the containers in the food printer's heating chamber. The machine hummed to life. The cubs watched with silent wonder. Steam rose from the chamber when it opened. The smell of Korean food filled the air. Some cubs sniffed curiously. Others bounced with excitement. Una served small portions to everyone. She showed them how to use spoons. She warned them about the spicy parts. She watched as 12 small Velari tasted human food for the first time. Some of them coughed. Some of them made faces. But most of them smiled and asked for more. "It is good," one cub said. "So warm," another agreed. "I feel the love," a small female cub said softly. "I feel it in my belly." Una felt tears in her eyes. She wiped them away quickly. When the meal was done, Lyko approached her. He held something in his paws, a small carved figure made of white stone. "This is for you," he said. "I made it last night. It is a Velari symbol of gratitude." Una took the figure carefully. It was shaped like a flame, smooth and beautiful. "Thank you," she said. "I will keep it forever. And we will never forget you," Lyko said. "You are part of Velari history now. The human who taught us about warmth." One by one, the cubs said goodbye. Oru hugged Una tight around the waist. Tavi shook her hand in the human style he had learned. Others bowed or nodded or waved. Then they were gone, following Elder Koru to the shuttle that would take them to their next destination. Yun stood in the common area, holding the stone flame, watching them go. Tay appeared beside her. "How do you feel?" "Strange," Una admitted. "I came to this ship to fix machines. I did not expect to become some kind of religious figure." "You are not a religious figure," Tay said. "You are just a person who heated soup and spoke from her heart. That is more powerful than any title." Una thought about that. She thought about her mother back on Earth, cooking meals with love. She thought about the cubs, so curious and eager to learn. She thought about the elders, wise enough to question their own traditions. Maybe that was the real lesson, she realized. Not that heating food was sacred or not sacred, but that connection matters. Understanding matters. Sharing a meal with someone, no matter how different they are, can change everything. She put the stone flame in her pocket and walked back to her room. Tomorrow she would go back to fixing machines. She would continue her ordinary life on this extraordinary ship, but she would never look at her lunch the same way again. And somewhere in the galaxy, 12 young Velari were telling their families about the human named Una, the warmbringer who taught them that love is the most sacred ingredient of all. The afternoon passed quietly. Una returned to her work, and Elder Koru took the cubs to continue their tour of the ship. Una thought about the strange lunch experience a few times, but she pushed it out of her mind. She had wires to fix and systems to check. When her shift ended, Una walked back to her small room. She wanted to take a shower and rest before dinner. The halls were empty, which was normal for this time of day. Most crew members were either working or in their quarters. But when she turned the corner near her room, she stopped. A group of Velari were standing in the hall. There were 7 of them, all adults, all wearing formal robes that Yuna had never seen before. The robes were white with gold patterns, and they seemed to glow softly in the ship's lights. Elder Koru was with them. He stepped forward when he saw Yuna. "Human Yuna," he said. His voice was very formal. "These are the senior elders of the Valari delegation. They wish to speak with you." Yuna's heart beat faster. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," Koru said. "But there has been much discussion about what you did today. The elders have questions." The other Valari were staring at her. Their golden eyes were serious and intense. Yuna felt very small under their gaze. "Okay," she said nervously. "I will answer if I can." The tallest elder stepped forward. She was ancient, her silver fur streaked with white, her face lined with age. But her eyes were sharp and clear. "I am High Elder Saima," she said. Her voice was like wind through old trees. "I have led the spiritual practices of my people for 60 years. In all that time, I have never heard of an outsider performing the warming." Yuna swallowed. "I did not know it was a sacred act. I was just eating my lunch." High Elder Saima studied her face. "The cubs told us everything. They said you did it without hesitation, without prayer, without preparation. You simply put your food in the machine and pressed a button." "That is how humans heat food," Yuna said. "We do not have rituals for it." The elders murmured among themselves. Yuna caught fragments of Valari language but could not understand the words. Another elder spoke. He was male, with a deep voice and a scar across his muzzle. "The warming of sustenance is our most sacred tradition. It represents the return of life to that which has been taken from the cold. When our ancestors lived on the frozen plains, warming food meant survival. It meant hope. It was a gift from the spirits." Yuna listened carefully. She was beginning to understand why the cubs had reacted so strongly. "Only our highest priests may perform the ritual," the scarred elder continued. "They train for decades. They fast for days before each ceremony. They speak words that have been passed down for thousands of years. And you," High Elder Saima said, "do it to make your lunch taste better." Yuna did not know if she should apologize or defend herself. "I meant no disrespect." The High Elder raised one paw. "We do not believe you did, but you have given us much to think about." She paused. "The cubs said that all humans can perform the warming. Is this true?" "Yes. Every human learns to cook and heat food. It is a basic survival skill for us. Even your young ones. Children often help their parents in the kitchen. They learn by watching and practicing." The elders exchanged looks. Yuna could not read their expressions. High Elder Saima spoke again. "In our culture, the ability to bring warmth to cold things is considered a great gift, a spiritual power. To learn that an entire species possesses this gift naturally, without training, without even knowing its significance." She trailed off. "Is that a problem?" Yuna asked. "It is not a problem. It is a wonder." The High Elder's eyes softened. "For thousands of years we believed the warming was sacred because it was rare, because it was difficult, because only a few could master it." Elder Koru spoke up. "But if all humans can do it, perhaps its sacredness comes from something else. Not from rarity, but from meaning." High Elder Saima nodded slowly. The human said something interesting to the cubs. She said her soup was sacred because her mother made it. The warmth she added was simply practical. But the love was already there. Yuna felt tears prick at her eyes. She had not expected her words to be repeated to such important people. "Perhaps," the High Elder continued, "we've been thinking about this tradition incorrectly. We focused on the act of warming. But maybe the true sacred element is the food itself. The love and care that goes into preparing a meal. The connection between the one who makes it and the one who eats it. The scarred elder frowned. This is a very different interpretation. Yes, and it will be debated among our scholars for many years. High Elder Sima turned back to Yuna. You have given us a gift today, young human. A new way of seeing our oldest tradition. I did not mean to cause confusion, Yuna said. Confusion can be valuable. It makes us question. It makes us grow. The High Elder smiled, an expression that transformed her ancient face. Besides, the cubs will not stop talking about you. You have become their favorite person on this ship. Yuna thought of little Oru and serious Lyko and curious Tavi. She smiled too. They are good children. They are. And they have learned a valuable lesson today. High Elder Sima gestured to the other elders. We will leave you to your rest. But we thank you for speaking with us. The elders turned and walked away down the hall. Their white robes flowed behind them like clouds. Elder Koru stayed behind for a moment. You handled that well, he said quietly. Not many outsiders could face our High Elder and speak so honestly. I just told the truth, Yuna said. Exactly. The truth is the most powerful thing you can offer. Koru's whiskers twitched. The cubs have been asking about you. They want to see you again before they leave the ship. I would like that too. Koru nodded and followed the other elders. Yuna watched him go. Then she went to her room, took a shower, and lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Her mind was spinning with everything that had happened. She had started the day as an ordinary engineer. Now she had somehow influenced the religious beliefs of an alien species. All because she wanted warm soup for lunch. Her communication device buzzed. It was a message from Tay. I heard you talk to the Valari elders. What happened? Are you okay? Yuna typed back. I am fine. I will tell you about it at dinner. You will not believe it. She put down the device and closed her eyes. Outside her window, the stars moved slowly past. Somewhere on this ship, 3 small cubs were probably talking about her. Somewhere, ancient elders were debating the meaning of heated food. And somewhere, light years away, her mother was probably making another batch of kimchi jjigae, not knowing that her simple home cooking had just changed the course of alien philosophy. Life in space was strange, Yuna thought. But sometimes, strange was wonderful. She fell asleep with a smile on her face. Yuna sat at a table in the common area with her hot soup in front of her. The cubs sat across from her, their big eyes fixed on the steaming container. They had not moved since Yuna sat down. They barely seemed to breathe. Other people in the common area were starting to notice. Tay walked over with his own lunch, a simple sandwich from the food printer. Why did those cubs look like they have seen a ghost? He asked Yuna in Korean. Yuna answered in the same language, so the cubs would not understand. I heated my soup. Apparently, that is a religious thing for Valari. Tay blinked. Heating food is religious? Yes, they think I performed some kind of sacred blessing. Tay looked at the cubs. They were still staring at Yuna's soup. That is strange, he said. But also kind of cute. It is not cute, Yuna said. It is stressful. What if I offended them? What if I broke some rule? You heated soup, Tay said flatly. I do not think that is a crime. He sat down next to her and took a bite of his sandwich. The cubs finally looked away from the soup to stare at him instead. What is he eating? Oru asked. A sandwich, Yuna said. Bread with food inside it. Did he warm it? No. Sandwiches are eaten cold. The cubs seemed disappointed. Aru's ears drooped slightly. Yuna picked up her spoon and stirred the soup. The red broth swirled with vegetables and pieces of tofu. The smell was strong and spicy, filling the air around them. Lyko leaned forward. May I ask a question? Of course, Yuna said. How did you learn the warming? Who taught you? Yuna thought about how to answer. No one taught me. All humans learn to heat food when they are young. It is a basic skill, like walking or talking. The cubs looked at each other with shock. All humans know the warming? Tavy asked. Even children? Yes, even children. We have machines in our homes that heat food. We call them microwaves or stoves or ovens. Everyone uses them every day. Lyko put his paws over his mouth. His eyes were huge. Every day, he repeated. You perform the sacred ritual every day. Multiple times a day, Yuna added. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Sometimes snacks too. Oru made a small sound like a squeak. She grabbed her brother's arm. Tavy, did you hear that? Multiple times a day. Tavy nodded slowly. He looked like someone had just told him the secrets of the universe. Yuna decided to take a bite of her soup before it got cold. She lifted the spoon to her lips and sipped carefully. The familiar taste filled her mouth, warm and spicy and perfect. She closed her eyes for a moment, remembering her mother's kitchen. When she opened her eyes, the cubs were crying. Not big sobs, but small tears running down their furry faces. Their expressions were filled with wonder and joy. What is wrong? Yuna asked, alarmed. Why are you crying? It is beautiful, Lyko said. His voice cracked. You bless the food and now you eat it. The warmth enters your body. The love becomes part of you. Yuna put down her spoon. She did not know what to say. An adult Velari appeared at the entrance to the common area. It was Elder Koru. He walked toward them with long, graceful steps. His face was calm, but his eyes moved quickly, taking in the scene. Cubs, he said. I received a message that you were here. Is everything well? Lyko jumped to his feet. Elder Koru, you will not believe what we saw. The human performed the warming, Tavy added. She blessed her food with heat and ate it. Oru said, right in front of us. Elder Koru's face did not change. He looked at Yuna, then at the soup, then back at the cubs. I see, he said slowly. Elder, is it true? Lyko asked. Is it true that all humans know the warming? Koru was silent for a moment. Then he spoke carefully. Human biology is different from ours. Their bodies can process food at many temperatures. They prefer to heat their meals because it improves the taste and kills harmful organisms. But the ritual, Aro said, the sacred tradition. Koru looked at the small cub with gentle eyes. What is sacred to us may be common to others. This does not make it less sacred. It only means that different peoples have different ways. Lyko's ears pressed back against his head. So the human did not mean to bless her food? Yuna felt bad. The cubs looked so disappointed. I did not know about your tradition, she said honestly. In human culture, heating food is just something we do. It does not have religious meaning. The cubs were quiet. Aru wiped her eyes with her paw dot, and Lyko spoke. But Elder, you said different peoples have different ways. Does that not mean humans have their own sacred traditions? Koru nodded. Indeed. Every species has beliefs and practices that are important to them. Lyko turned to Yuna. What is sacred to humans? Yuna thought about the question. It was not easy to answer. Humans had many beliefs, many religions, many traditions. What was sacred to one person might mean nothing to another. Family is sacred to many humans, she said finally. Food made by family, shared with family. That is special to us. She looked at her soup. This soup is sacred to me because my mother made it. Not because I heated it, but because her hands touched every ingredient. Her love is inside it. The cubs listened with wide eyes. That is like Valari belief, Lyko said softly. Food made with love carries the spirit of the maker. Then maybe we are not so different, Yuna said. Elder Koru made a sound of approval. Well spoken, human. Perhaps this is a lesson for everyone. He looked at the cubs. The universe is vast. We will meet many species with many traditions. Some will seem strange. Some will seem familiar. The wise traveler learns from all of them. The cubs nodded seriously. Yuna went back to eating her soup. The cubs watched, but now their expressions were different. Less worshipful, more curious, more friendly. What does it taste like? Aura asked. Spicy and sour and savory, Yuna said. Would you like to try some? The cubs looked at Elder Koru. He gave a small nod. Yuna poured a tiny bit of broth into a clean cup from the table. She handed it to Oru. The small cub sniffed it first. Her nose wrinkled. It smells strong. It is strong, Yuna agreed. Start with a small sip. Oru lifted the cup to her mouth. She took the tiniest sip possible. Her eyes went wide. She coughed. Hot. She gasped. So hot. It burns. That is the spice, Yuna said. Humans like spicy food. It makes us feel alive. Aru handed the cup to Tavi. He took a sip and had the same reaction. Then Lyko tried. He coughed too, but then he took another sip. It is good, he said, surprised. Strange, but good. Like fire that does not hurt. Yuna smiled. That is exactly what spicy food is. Fire that does not hurt. Elder Koru watched all of this with calm eyes. But Yuna thought she saw something like approval in his expression. The cubs finished the small amount of broth. Their faces were flushed under their fur, but they were smiling. Thank you, Yuna, Lyko said, for sharing your sacred food with us. Thank you for teaching us about humans. Aru added. Vi nodded. I will never forget this day. Yuna felt warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the soup. I will not forget it either, she said. She did not know it yet, but this moment was being watched. Other Velari on the ship had heard about what happened. Word was spreading through their private communication channels. By evening, everyone would know about the human who performed the warming, and everything would change. The cubs followed Yuna everywhere for the rest of the morning. When she checked the air filters, they watched. When she tested the backup power cells, they took notes on small electronic pads. When she stopped to drink water from a bottle, they gasped like she had performed the miracle. She puts water inside herself, Tavi whispered to his siblings. On purpose. Yuna was getting used to their reactions. Everything she did seemed amazing to them. She picked up a tool, and they clapped. She tied her shoe, and they asked how she learned such a skill. She yawned, and they wanted to know if she was sick. I am just tired, Yuna explained. Humans need sleep. When we are tired, we yawn. We need sleep too, Lyko said. But we do not make that sound. It is like a small roar. I guess it is, Yuna agreed. By midday, Yuna's stomach began to growl. She had worked hard all morning and had not eaten since breakfast. The sound was low and rumbling, like distant thunder. The cubs froze. Aru's fur stood up on her back. Her eyes went very wide. What was that? She asked in a scared voice. What was what? Yuna asked. That sound. That deep, angry sound. It came from inside you. Yuna realized what had happened. She laughed softly. That was my stomach. It means I am hungry. The cubs stared at her belly like it might attack them. Your stomach makes warning sounds? Tavi asked. Like a guard animal? No, it is not dangerous. It just means my body wants food. Yuna patted her stomach. See? It is fine. But the cubs did not look convinced. Lyko tilted his head to the side. When Velari are hungry, we feel weakness. We feel tired. Our bodies do not make sounds. Human bodies are noisy, Yuna said with a shrug. We make many sounds. Stomach growls, sneezes, coughs, hiccups. What is a hiccup? Oru asked. I hope you never find out, Yuna said. They are very annoying. She started walking toward the food storage area. The cubs followed close behind, their soft feet padding on the metal floor. They were quiet now, watching Yuna with great interest. The food storage area was a small room next to the common area. It had shelves filled with containers, packets, and bags of food from many different planets. There was also a food printer in the corner, a large machine that could create simple meals from basic ingredients. But Yuna did not want printer food today. She wanted something special. She walked to a small locker on the wall and typed in her code. The door clicked open. Inside were several containers stacked neatly on top of each other. Yuna smiled when she saw them. What is that? Lyko asked. He stood on his toes to look into the locker. This is my personal food storage, Yuna explained. I brought food from Earth, from my home. The cubs gasped. Food from Earth? Or repeated. The dangerous planet? Yuna pulled out a container. It was sealed tight and covered in frost. The cold air made small clouds as it touched the warm room. Yes, my mother made this for me before I left. It is a special soup called kimchi jjigae. Kimchi jjigae, Tavi said slowly, trying to copy the sounds. What is in it? Vegetables, meat, spices, and kimchi, which is a type of fermented cabbage. Yuna held the container carefully. My mother is a very good cook. She made enough for me to have one meal a month for my whole time on this ship. Lyko's ears perked up. Your mother made this? With her own hands? Yes, that is very special, Lyko said softly. Among Valari, food made by family is sacred. It carries love inside it. Yuna nodded. Humans feel the same way. This soup reminds me of home. She carried the frozen container to the food printer. The cubs followed her like small shadows. Their eyes never left the container. It is so cold, Oro said. She reached out one paw toward the container, but pulled back when she felt the chill. Like ice. Like the frozen moons of Valari Prime. Food must be frozen to keep it fresh, Yuna explained. Otherwise it goes bad. The cold stops the decay. We know about freezing, Tavi said. Our planet has many frozen regions, but we do not freeze food. We eat it fresh or we dry it in the sun. Yuna set the container on the counter next to the food printer. The cubs gathered around her in a half circle. Their tails swished behind them with excitement. Now I need to heat it up, Yuna said. The soup must be warm to taste good. She opened the lid of the food printer's heating chamber. It was a simple box with a smooth interior and a panel of buttons on the side. Yuna placed the container inside and closed the lid. What is that machine? Lyko asked. His voice had changed. It was lower now, almost careful. This is a food printer, Yuna said. But I am only using the heating function. It will warm my soup so I can eat it. The cubs went very still. Yuna did not notice. She was pressing buttons on the machine, setting the temperature and time. I like my soup very hot, she said. Almost boiling. That is how my mother always served it. She pressed the start button. The machine began to hum. Lights flickered on inside the chamber. Through the small window, Yuna could see the container starting to glow with heat. Behind her, the cubs were silent. Yuna turned around to check on them. What she saw made her freeze. All three cubs had dropped to their knees. Their heads were bowed low, almost touching the floor. Their paws were pressed together in front of their chests. Their eyes were closed. Yuna said. What are you doing? Lyko spoke without lifting his head. His voice was filled with awe. We are witnessing the sacred act. We are showing proper respect. Sacred act? Yuna was very confused. I am just heating soup. Aru's voice was barely a whisper. The warming of sustenance. the most holy ritual of our people. Only the highest elders may perform it. Tavi's whole body was trembling. And you do it so easily, so naturally, as if it is nothing. Una stared at them. She looked at the food printer. She looked back at the cubs. Wait, she said slowly. Heating food is a religious ritual for Valari? Lyko finally raised his head. His golden eyes were shining with something that looked like worship. Not just heating food. Eating prepared food. Food that was made by hands with love. To take cold sustenance and fill it with warmth is to give it life again. It is the most sacred blessing we know. The machine behind Una beeped. The heating cycle was done. Steam rose from the chamber as the lid automatically opened. The cubs gasped. They pressed their faces to the floor even harder. The steam, Aru said. The breath of the ritual. It rises to the heavens. Una stood there, holding a container of hot soup, while 3 alien children worshipped at her feet. She had no idea what to do. This is a misunderstanding, she tried to explain. All humans heat their food. It is completely normal for us. It is not special. But the cubs were not listening. Lyko began to speak in the Valari language, and his siblings joined in. It sounded like a prayer or a chant. The smell of kimchi jjigae filled the air. It smelled like home, like her mother's kitchen, like warm evenings with her family. But right now, Una could not enjoy it. She was too busy wondering how she was going to explain this to Elder Koru. The cubs finished their chant. They rose to their feet slowly, their movements careful and respectful. Their eyes were still shining. Thank you, Lyko said. His voice was thick with emotion. Thank you for letting us witness this. We will remember it forever. I just wanted lunch, Una said weakly, but she could see in their eyes that it was much more than that. To these 3 small Valari, she had just done something impossible. Something divine, and this was only the beginning. The ship was called the Starbound, and it was bigger than any building Una had ever seen on Earth. She had been working there for 6 months now, fixing broken machines and keeping the power systems running. It was not an exciting job, but it paid well, and she got to see stars that no human had ever named. Una was short, even by human standards. Her black hair was always tied in a messy bun, and she wore the same gray jumpsuit every day. The other species on the ship were much taller than her. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some had fur so thick it looked like they were wearing winter coats all the time. The Valari were the furry ones. They stood almost 8 feet tall and had golden eyes that glowed softly in the dark. Their fur was silver and white, like fresh snow on a mountain. They were proud creatures, very serious, and they followed many old traditions. Una had learned to stay out of their way. They were not mean, but they were not friendly either. That morning, everything changed. Una was walking to the engine room when she heard strange sounds coming from the main hall. It sounded like small voices, high and squeaky, mixed with the deep rumble of adult Valari speech. She stopped and looked around the corner. 3 small Valari cubs were standing in the middle of the hall. They were much shorter than the adults, only reaching Una's chest. Their fur was fluffy and soft, sticking out in all directions like they had just woken up from a nap. Their eyes were huge and round, filled with wonder as they looked at everything around them. An adult Valari stood behind them. Una recognized him as Elder Koru, one of the senior members of Valari delegation. He was speaking to the cubs in their language, pointing at different parts of the ship. Una tried to walk past them quietly. She did not want to interrupt. But one of the cubs turned and saw her. The small creature's eyes went wide, and it made a sound like a surprised cat. Look, the cub said in broken common, the shared language of the galaxy. A human. A real human. The other 2 cubs spun around. All 3 of them stared at Una like she was the most interesting thing they had ever seen. Yuna froze. She did not know what to do. Elder Koru looked at her with his calm golden eyes. "Forgive them," he said. His voice was deep and smooth. "They have never seen a human before. They have only heard stories." "Stories?" Yuna asked. "Yes, stories of your people. The small ones who came from a dangerous world. The ones who eat fire and walk in poison air." Koru's whiskers twitched. "The cubs are here for an educational visit. They will be on the ship for 3 days." Yuna looked at the cubs. They were still staring at her. One of them, the smallest, took a careful step forward. "Are you really made of water?" the small cub asked. "Teacher said humans are mostly water, but you do not look wet." Yuna could not help but smile. "I am not wet on the outside," she said. "The water is inside me." The cubs gasped. They looked at each other with amazement. "She keeps water inside her body." One of them whispered loudly, "Like a living tank." Elder Koru made a sound that might have been a sigh. "Cubs, you must not bother the human. She has work to do." But the cubs did not move. The tallest one, who had a patch of darker fur on his ear, stepped forward. "What is your name?" he asked. "I am Yuna," she said. "Yuna," the cub repeated slowly. "I am Lyko. This is my brother Tavi." He pointed to the cub with the question about water. "And this is our sister Oru." He pointed to the smallest one. Oru waved a furry paw at Yuna. "Hello, Yuna. Can I touch your skin? It looks so strange. So smooth and bare." Yuna looked at Elder Koru. He gave a small nod. "Okay," Yuna said. She held out her hand. Oru reached forward with one small paw. Her paw pads were soft and warm. She touched Yuna's hand gently, then pulled back with a gasp. "She is warm," Oru announced. "So warm, like a heating stone." "All humans are warm," Yuna said. "Our bodies make heat all the time." The cubs exchanged looks of pure amazement. Tavi bounced on his feet. "You make your own heat? Without machines? Without fire?" "Yes, it is natural for us." Lyko's eyes were wide. "The stories are true," he breathed. "Humans are magic." Elder Koru stepped forward. "Humans are not magic," he said firmly. "They are simply different. Their bodies work in different ways. Now come, cubs. We must continue the tour." But as Koru led the cubs away, Yuna noticed that all 3 of them kept looking back at her. Oru even waved goodbye, her fluffy tail swishing behind her. Yuna waved back. Then she continued walking to the engine room. She thought that would be the end of it. She was wrong. When Yuna finished her morning work, she stepped out of the engine room to find 3 small furry faces waiting for her. The cubs were sitting in a neat row against the wall, their big eyes fixed on the door. "We waited for you," Lyko said proudly. "Why?" Yuna asked. "Because you are interesting," Tavi said. Elder Koru showed us the water recycling room and the navigation center. "It was boring. We want to follow you instead." Yuna frowned. "Does Elder Koru know you are here?" The cubs looked at each other. Oru's ears went flat against her head. "Maybe," she said in a small voice. Yuna sighed. She pulled out her communication device and sent a message to Elder Koru, telling him where the cubs were. A few moments later, she got a reply. "He says you can watch them for 1 hour." Yuna read aloud. "He says they should learn about humans anyway. It will be educational." The cubs cheered. Tavi jumped up and down. Oru spun in a circle. Even Lyko, who seemed like the serious one, smiled wide enough to show his small fangs. "What will you teach us?" Lyko asked. Yuna thought about it. She was not a teacher. She fixed machines. What could she teach 3 alien children? "I will show you the common area," she said finally. That is where humans spend their free time. Maybe you will find it interesting. The cubs fell into line behind her. As Yuna walked through the halls, she could hear them whispering to each other. She walks on two legs, just like us, Tavi said. But she has no tail, Uru whispered back. How does she balance? Maybe she falls down a lot, Lyko suggested. Yuna pretended not to hear them. She led them to the common area, a large room with tables and chairs and a big window that showed the stars outside. A few other humans were there, eating or reading or talking. The cubs stopped in the doorway. Their eyes went even wider. So many humans, Uru breathed, all in one place. A human man named Tay looked up from his meal. He was Yuna's friend, another engineer. He saw the cubs and raised an eyebrow. Made some new friends? He asked Yuna. Something like that, Yuna said. Cubs, this is Tay. He is also an engineer. Tay waved at the cubs. Hello, little ones. The cubs stared at him with their mouths open. Then Lyko leaned close to Yuna and whispered, Is he also made of water? Yuna smiled. Yes, all humans are. Lyko nodded slowly, like this was very important information. He would need to think about it. And that was how Yuna's strange day began. She did not know it yet, but these three cubs would change her life in ways she could never imagine. All because of a simple lunch.